Okay, so the ORR School Committee is very pleased to present for your consideration an efficient and cost-effective plan to renovate several of the high school's most heavily used extracurricular facilities. The plan we are presenting has been developed over several years and has involved collaboration with the Old Rochester School Committee, Tri-Town citizens, town administrators, and in Marion, selectmen and staff who came and gave feedback at our school committee meetings. Because this project has been refined over a number of years and has been looked at from many different perspectives, it is thoroughly thought through and is built on best practices. Many neighboring communities along the South Coast have looked at and implemented very similar solutions recently, and we have watched them and talked to them so that we can be sure to avoid common pitfalls and to build on their best practices and make sure we are investing wisely. As many of you know, our students do a fantastic job in the shows and on the field. Our community has always supported the arts and the sports teams, as seen in sold-out shows and game attendance. Who doesn't remember the Sea of Red taking over Gillette Stadium during the high school Super Bowl last year? Both the shows and the sports are huge community builders. Fortunately, we have been able to maintain our arts and athletic programs when many other school districts have had to cut them. This commitment is meaningful for both the students and the community. Study after study has shown that students who participate in extracurricular programs like these are healthier, get better grades, use fewer social services, and learn valuable life skills. Some of the greatest benefits of extracurricular programs are demonstrated in the classroom and the community, but are learned on the field and the stage. These are our achievements. Okay, so what's the problem? In the case of the main stadium field, it is simply an issue of too much demand. Since the time when this field was installed 20 years ago, the number of high school sports teams using this field has only increased. With that increase comes a pounding and compacting of the ground beneath it. This compacting makes it very difficult to grow grass. And even when the grass does grow, one game on one rainy night can wipe out all your progress. The best landscape maintenance in the world cannot fight these natural forces. See, because we don't have 6 or more fields to rotate through, the main stadium field never gets a chance to rest. It never gets a chance to grow a turf thick enough to withstand such overuse. The unfortunate result of this cycle is an unsafe field. The ground is extremely hard, which can cause concussions if you fall on it the wrong way. And as the ground compacts around them, rocks rise up to the surface, which present their own dangers. As the grass disappears, divots and holes appear, which can cause strains, ACL tears, sprains, and broken bones. Further, the lighting at the field is just old and often doesn't work, which can create visibility issues. The bottom line is, this field is functionally obsolete, and no amount of seed, irrigation, and fertilizer will fix that. We need a new solution. The issue with the track is simply that it is beyond its expected useful life, and it needs to be replaced. The top layer of it has worn away, and the track has become very slippery. Also, cracks are appearing, which will happen with asphalt over time. In addition, the infield of the track, where the field events are played and many teams practice, has become quite ripped apart. The fact is, our track teams consistently win championships, but they practice and compete on one of the worst tracks in the conference. Now to the auditorium. As you can see in the picture above me, and I just wanted to make sure it was there before I said that. As you can see in the picture above me, the left side of the stage is completely dark. That's because the lights for that side don't work and are so old replacement parts can no longer be found. How would you feel if your child or grandchild or you were performing on that side of the unlit stage after weeks and weeks of rehearsal? The real issue, though, is that the lighting system is not safe. Because it is so outdated, our students have to slide around on their bellies in the ceiling rigging, and because the lights run so hot, they have to wear huge gloves like oven mitts to manually operate them. This equipment is out of date, inefficient, unsafe, and it's time to replace it. But don't take it all from me. Listen to these people who regularly use the high school facilities talk about their experiences. As a school committee member, I know this project will have a huge impact on the majority of the high school student body because our high school does such a phenomenal job of engaging students in these programs. However, community groups will also benefit from these improvements, including Marion Recreation. After all, this is the only track, large field, and traditional auditorium that Marion has access to. So, what are we proposing? There are 5 main elements to the plan. The first is to replace the main stadium field with artificial turf and an organic infill, not crumb rubber. A turf field will hold up to heavy use and weather conditions better and will lighten the use of our other natural grass fields at the school. Included in this element is installing safety netting and fencing, which isn't currently at the field. Second is to resurface the track and rebuild the grass infield. Third is to change the lights on the main stadium field to energy-efficient LED lights. And in the auditorium, install a safer, digitally controlled LED light system and finish the audio chain upgrades. So what will this investment cost? These are the project costs, which will be spread across the 3 towns. Remember how I talked about best practices and learning from neighboring towns? You can see that reflected here as we made sure that these project costs are comprehensive and include things like escalation, contingencies, soft costs, etc. Here is how the numbers break down for the average homeowner in Marion. The State Department of Revenue says that the average single-family home in Marion is valued at $627,000. So that average homeowner would pay only $25.11 per year, based on first-year costs for 15 years. If your house is assessed for less than $627,000, you pay a little less. The bottom line is, we can support our students, increase safety, and improve the facilities for less than the cost of a couple of pizzas per year. In closing, I would like to point out that your yes vote tonight is to put the project on the ballot this Friday. Thank you for your attention. We appreciate your supports, and we would welcome any questions.
Second question is what is the shelf life of your artificial turf that you're putting down?
We believe that the life of the artificial turf will be 15 years.
16?
15. That's why we're looking to bond this over 15 years. A couple points about that. Some people have questioned that figure, and it should be known that most of the studies out there talking about the longevity of the turf are on older systems than what we would be putting into our field. So just like your phone that everyone brought tonight has advanced technologically, so have the turf fields. The way they've mostly changed is through AV support. So a turf field will break down due to being exposed to the elements, especially AV radiation. It used to be that they would just paint the top of the turf carpet with a protector from the AV radiation, but now that protector is infused into the fibers of the turf, so it's much stronger and will last a lot longer. It's much like buying a fine carpet where the yarn is dyed beforehand as opposed to just being dyed once it's all been loomed. The warranty for the carpet and the whole system is 8 years, and that's the manufacturer. But just like your car doesn't die at the end of the warranty, neither will this field.
The warranty, is it voided if you fail to spend X given dollars of maintenance over a given year? So what's the impact on your 2020 budget, or whenever it becomes functional? I don't know what the installation period is. What's the cost to maintain your artificial turf that is going to be found in that 2020 or 21 budget?
So obviously the parts that go for snow removal will remain about the same. We are looking to sort of separate those costs. We actually expect our maintenance costs to go down. I know that last year we had a very well-known landscape firm come in and try to rehabilitate the field at the cost of $50,000, and all of that grass was gone by about November, before the high school football season was over. So by the fact that we won't constantly be trying to grow grass, we expect the maintenance costs for this field to decrease. Included in those project costs are maintenance equipment, such as the groomer, and so that is already included in the project costs you saw above.
So there's no dollar figure. You're just saying around 50 grand then?
I'm not saying all of the 50,000, because a lot of that goes to snow removal. I'm saying we don't have a lot of money to spend on field maintenance, and what we do will be less going forward. I don't have a dollar amount, no.
It's just a hypothetical question now. If you run into a problem where in your astroturf that you're putting down needs maintenance, but yet you have to make a choice between what is being taught in the classroom, maintaining what you already have, such as in the auditorium, or your fields, what choice would you make?
To be honest with you, we make these types of choices every day, because all sorts of interesting things happen at the high school, whether it's a burst pipe during the setup for the junior semi-formal or things like that. We would have to look at our available dollar funds, look at what we have to move around, and we would try to meet all needs.
Well, I'm not going to pursue that. Okay. Thank you.
The Finance Committee does not recommend this based on a variety of factors. First of all, it is ill-timed when examined in light of the $12.5 million in water and sewer articles that have already been approved. Tack that on with the $2.5 million water and sewer article from last year, brings the amount to approximately $15 million for water and sewer ratepayers. We estimate that there may be a 30 to 40% overall increase in water and sewer rates when these are all bonded out. All right, this does not include the $171 per household that we approved last night for the trash truck. Furthermore, this project was not included in the most recent 5-year plan, capital plan, and which was a 5-year capital plan with a 10-year bond. That has not been paid for yet either. The debt will also exceed, as you've heard, the useful life of some of the repairs and upgrades. The upgrades and maintenance should have been included in the operating budget. First of all, and then finally, there is no corresponding cuts to the operating budget. If you would have listened to some of our meetings, you'd realize that one of our major objections with the Old Rochester School Committee is the admission of choice students. There are currently 119 choice students at an average cost of $18,500. That comes out to $2.2 million. The Old Rochester School Committee chose to subsidize children from out of district rather than support the children in our district. That is why we object to this.
So one last question, if I may. Why was this bundled as a complete package? I mean, given what the Finance Committee just said about the financial stress that the town of Marion is having, why is it an all or nothing?
Sure, let me address a few points that were made. First of all, the reason why it's an all or nothing is because the purpose of this project is to address safety issues. Safety issues on the field, safety issues on the track, safety issues in the auditorium. And I am sorry if it is ill-timed, but I am not willing to risk the safety of our students another year for such a small expenditure to make safety improvements. It's just simply that straightforward. When we talk... When we talk about the useful life of these materials, we had an informational meeting a few weeks ago where the experts on these fields and track were there to talk about the useful life. Yes, we will have to invest in these fields and track and auditorium and other parts of the school within the next, or in 15 years, because they will be used up. When you buy something, when you buy a car, when you buy something, you expect it to last a long time, but it doesn't last forever. These facilities are the most used in the Tri-Town. No other facility sees the coming and going and the constant pounding that these facilities do. They need to be invested in. Furthermore, I do not wish to make this the conversation about school choice. If you would like to discuss school choice further, we have a public hearing every March that talks about these topics and explains how school choice students add to our school, both culturally and financially.
Andy Santos, 32 Hastings Road. What we have now, if my understanding is correct, is a 6-lane track. I thought the idea to improve that facility in order to accommodate meets that could be held where we could be hosts, it required an 8-lane track. Why has that changed?
That has changed because through this process, it has been refined and drilled down to the bare necessities needed for safety. We desired to have an 8-lane track, but to do that, we would have to change the whole physical plant around it, and well, that would be wonderful. It would be very, very expensive, and we didn't feel that was the appropriate proposal to bring to the voters of Marion.
That means we will now proceed directly to a vote on Article 31. All in favor of Article 31, please raise your card and say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed to Article 31, please raise your card and say nay. Nay. Article 31 passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Burke.